Good morning. I think this is on now. Hi, it's Paul Zelizer. Thank you for joining in this Facebook Live on how steady, loving presence grows your business. Really excited to dive into this topic, and I have a couple stories for you, and I want to share my own experience, just giving a chance for people to get on this Facebook Live. While you're getting started, if you're watching this and you like these Facebook Lives, I've been doing them now for a month very regularly. I'm doing 3 times a week. I'll be doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday going forward. And I've even been encouraged to do them 5 days a week by my friends Maria Flynn and Stephen Atchison. They've gotten a lot of traction if you don't know them. Wonderful, wonderful people. So, hey, Michael Potter, thanks for joining in. People are just getting here. Really honored to be here with you all. Going to get started here in just a second. I wanted to say that I have a little bit of a headache, and oh, Michael, you're so sweet. Michael said we love the Facebook Lives. Thank you so much. A little bit of a headache, and it got me thinking. I'm going to be transparent here. It got me thinking about, do I even do this Facebook Live today? And I was thinking, if I was really sick and I'm in bed, I understand. And hey, Holly, thanks for joining in. Thanks everybody who's coming. Nancy, others who are joining in. Really appreciate it. I was traveling. I got home late last night. I was in the San Francisco area through the week. I was doing a partnership conversation with consciousness hacking. Wonderful, wonderful people if you don't know them. And we did an event with the co-founder, Mikey Siegel, and I, where we had a great conversation. It was called Hacking Social and Interpersonal Consciousness on Wednesday night in Palo Alto. That was so sweet, and it was really great. Hey, Selena, thank you. Good morning, Holly. Thanks for joining in. Genevieve, welcome. Boy, I love seeing all these wonderful people. Thank you for your time. I'm really honored. So anyway, I got home late last night and I have a little bit of a headache. And I wasn't thinking of starting with this story, but this is the truth. That it would have been easy to not do this. Nobody's like paying me to be here. Steven's here, Marvin's here. Oh my gosh. Hey, Steven, I was talking about you all earlier, saying you and Maria were encouraging me to do these 5 days a week and even doing them 3 days a week. I'm really seeing some real traction. So thank you, everyone. And Steven and Maria have been really, really just role models for me. Good morning, Marvin. About doing these Facebook Lives in a really heart-centered way and really staying steady with them. And so, Stephen, it's really fun to have you here because I was mentioning your name earlier. So like I said, I have a little bit of a headache. I got home late last night from this beautiful experience being in the Bay Area. And I was thinking about, well, what's the topic for today's Facebook Live? And I was thinking about, if I was sick in bed and completely out, that would make sense. But being a little off with a headache, it didn't get in the way of my desire to want to still connect with you all. This idea of steady, loving presence is something that has been a cornerstone of my business and teaching my clients. And Stephen says, great to listen to you. And thank you, Stephen. Really appreciate it. So, welcome everybody. Oh, Stephen, you just boosted again. I can tell because the numbers just got really large. Thank you. You're really honored. I'm really honored. You're really sweet. That's what I meant. This topic of steady, loving presence in business is something that's really a cornerstone to what I teach my clients, and I wanted to explore that in today's Facebook Live. So I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you 2 stories actually of what happens when we aren't being as present, we're not being as steady. So recently somebody in the Wisdompreneurs group shared an experience where she sent out a newsletter and she hadn't sent one out for quite a few months. And she was concerned and a little upset that she got a really large number of both unsubscribes and people pushing the spam button. And I think the period was 10 or 11 months. I can't quite remember. But I was thinking about that as such a concrete example, right? These people had signed up for her email list. They had been excited about what she was doing at one point. But there was this moment of time, this extended period of time that she didn't stay in touch with them. She wasn't connecting, she wasn't engaging, she wasn't staying in steady, loving presence kind of a contact. Then when she had something she wanted to share, she maybe was doing a retreat or she had a new program to offer, then she sent a newsletter. She got very low open rates and lots of pushing the spam button, which if that happens too much gets you into all kinds of trouble in terms of your email deliverability, right? Very concrete example, something we can measure about what happens when we don't stay connected, when we don't stay in steady, loving presence. An example from my own life and my own business, last spring, late last winter and late last spring was a very intense time in my life. It was very, there was a lot of, good morning, Miriam, thank you for joining. There were a number of things going on. There was a confluence of events. It was like a perfect storm that really got in the way of my ability to be present. And both of my businesses actually went down, where previously they had been growing at a really significant rate. So what happened was, in my family, my daughter had a medical crisis. She had two bulging discs, and they were creating synergistic pain, but that wasn't immediately clear to us. It took us time. We had a close encounter, I like to say, with the American medical system. They didn't know what was going on. We just knew that she was dizzy, she was in an extreme amount of pain, she was getting vertigo, and she was really hurting. And it was very distressing. And at the same time, my co-founder for Wisdompreneurs, my other business, she got very ill. And my ex-wife, my daughter's mom, went on a trip. She hadn't been on a big trip, a big vacation. So she went on a 3.5-week vacation. And Wisdompreneurs was doing the largest series of events that we had ever done. There were 4 events in 3 days. And that confluence was like a perfect storm. And I was, I was trying to take care of my daughter. I was trying to take care of my business that pays my bills, paulzelizer.com. I was trying to show up for Wisdompreneurs, but I wasn't doing a great job, and I dropped a lot of balls. And both of my businesses, in paulzelizer.com and with Wisdompreneurs, even though people understood what was going on, they were very kind. Excuse me. There was an impact there. And my business growth slowed down, and my revenue went down. So that's what happens when two examples of what happens when we're not practicing steady, loving presence. What happens when we are? When we're really bringing forth our care, our desire to be support, to show up, and to help people who we have a particular inclination, a particular talent, a particular desire to help. Excuse me. That's what I wanted to share with you now. So when I came up with this idea of steady, loving presence in business and what that means, what I was seeing is that there was a lot of noise. And a lot of my clients who are conscious entrepreneurs and are really, they're averse. They have an aversion. I have an aversion. You probably have an aversion. You wouldn't be on this Facebook Live with me if that wasn't really your thing, is the hyped up, quick fix, it's all going to go away in one weekend workshop kind of way of being in business. I don't resonate with it, and my guess is that you don't as well. So I wanted some language to kind of inoculate myself and my clients about how do we stop having that be the reference point, because the thing that I saw is that in myself and in my clients, if the reference point is I don't want to do that noisy marketing, I don't want to do that quick fix thing, I'm still really focused on the quick fix thing, right? So the idea of steady, loving presence in business is to inoculate ourselves and to remind ourselves. The word remember, right? Remember means to embody again and again and again and again. This intent of being steady, of being in a loving, service-oriented place in our businesses. And when we're bringing that to the work that we're doing, people can feel it. It has a qualitative difference. And whether you're writing a blog post to help somebody today, or you're working with a one-on-one client, or you're leading a workshop Wednesday night, I don't know, there were maybe 60 people there. Steady, loving presence allows me, it allows my clients, and I'm offering it to you, to remember time after time after time what it feels like to be in a different kind of intent, to be in that compassionate, loving, service-oriented place. That doesn't mean that, hey, Lisa, thank you for joining in. Lisa says she's going to come back and listen to the rest of what I have to say. Have a great Friday. Thank you so much, Lisa. Really appreciate you joining and taking part in these Facebook Lives. Really honored. So that's my offering to you today, to step out of what you don't want, right? Noisy quick fix, or people who are just making a lot of noise, just trying to, get the quick sale, right? Stephen says it's push marketing versus pull marketing. There's a huge difference. Yes, absolutely, Stephen. Yes. And also what I would say in that, like attraction marketing and an attraction way of doing our business, that if we can find a way to steady show up, right? Show up with that care and people feel it. Stephen, you do such a good job. Hey, Maria Flint here. Maria, I was talking about you earlier. I'm so glad you're here. You and Maria do this wonderful. Selena Poole says, you're a master of steady, loving presence, Paul. Thank you so much, Selena. Selena, you do this as well. You do this so well. I know you now. I've seen you do it for years. You've supported me for years when there's been some bumpy times. Good morning, Maria. Thank you. How do we find that intent of staying with the deep, deep, deep work, right? And letting people know that, it's not about like this one video going hyper viral and like getting a gazillion views on one video. It's not about one program making $1 million in this online launch for this one single program, right? And then I'm set for life. That's not my approach. That's not what I'm about. And what I'm offering to people who play on the deeper end of the pool and the work that you do, whatever that work is, if you play with this intent of steady, loving presence, what I notice is it smooths out some of the rough edges of being in the work of the daily work of marketing, or there's a conflict with a colleague, or there's a sense that you have a headache like I do today, right? I shared earlier, right? You're not at your absolute, utter, incredible best, and there's a tendency like, maybe I'm just going to take my marbles and go home for today, and I'll show up next week, or 5 weeks from now, or 5 months from now, or 5 years from now. And the intent of steady, loving presence for me means, it's okay to show up with a headache, right? It's okay to do as best we can in every given moment, and to let that be enough. And it's okay to not have to push and try to like get somebody to sign up for that big coaching package, that online program right here and right now, but to patiently help them unpack and get to know you and get to sense of what you do in the work that you do, and to do that in a really loving way. Do that, take our fingernails out of the attachment that they must buy now, right? It's coming from our need. And rather, what is it that our client is wanting and needing? And is there a way I can serve that? And sometimes the way, at least for me, that I can serve that is to help them find somebody else. That's the most caring expression of service that I can be in any given moment. Right? So, Miriam says, beautiful, wise, spacious words for our whole lives. Thank you, Miriam. Yeah, good marketing isn't in some ways that different than good parenting, right? Or being a really committed partner in a relationship. Right? For me, parenting, I use that analogy a lot with my clients. Right? What if we said to, an infant, oh, you have a dirty diaper, oh, sweetie, you're hungry. Well, I'm not really in the mood to do that right now, right? And then tomorrow I said, oh, wow, you beautiful infant, oh, this gorgeous human being, you're hungry, I'd love to help you. It'd be very inconsistent parenting, right? That our job, even sometimes in the middle of the night when my daughter was colicky for months on end, she was so colicky for the first, I think it was 4 months of her life, that I wore down the carpet. I wore a pathway in the carpet in the living room because it was the only way that I was able to really help soothe her, right? It was to walk her in what was called, I'll show you, the football hold, right? Where my daughter was here in my arms and her head comes here. She sort of hangs down a little bit like a monkey, right? The midwife taught me that, and that was called the football hold. When I tried to hold her like her mom, she would cry because she'd be like, you're not mom. The football hold was dad's thing, right? And it was an incredibly sweet time. And we'd walk the pathway in the living room at 2 o'clock in the morning when she couldn't sleep and her belly was hurting and we didn't know why. She and I would walk, right? And I was tired. Oh, Jason says he did the football hold last night. Hey, Jason. Jason's my mastermind buddy and a new dad, and his little boy is absolutely adorable. You're such a committed dad, Jason. So that's the spirit I'm invoking, I'm inviting, that I try to embody myself in my business. As I told the story earlier, I had moments, and really the most recent one was last winter into last spring, where I dropped balls and I wasn't being very present, and honestly my business suffered, right? And it was a reminder to pay attention to what I say yes to and when I need to say no, so that I can bring steady, loving presence as best as I am able. And as I've been able to bring that back into my business and recommit to that practice through the summer and into this fall, things are growing again. And it reminded me how important, how incredibly, incredibly important steady, loving presence is. So that's what I got. I'm seeing some great, great comments here. If you have questions or comments, I'd love to hear your experience. Maria Flynn says, as a parent, we nurture and watch them grow. As a heart-centered entrepreneur, we nurture our clients and watch them grow. Yeah, absolutely, Maria. And you can feel that when you do your work, when I get on your lives, when you're sharing on Facebook, everywhere you go, I can feel that, Maria, and what you do with so much care and just so much depth and so much sincerity. So it's an honor to know you, and I see you as embodying steady, loving presence. So thank you. Marvin, welcome for joining. Marvin says, thank you, Paul, for blessing our day with your heartfelt kindness. Oh, Marvin, you're really sweet. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Sasha Allenby is here. Oh my gosh, this is turning into like some of my favorite humans, and a whole bunch of them all showing up. Thank you so much. Sasha says, you're the king of steady, loving presence in the marketplace. I've quoted you many times. Thank you, Sasha. You're pretty darn good about it. Yesterday, Sasha sent me a message on Facebook just giving me a sort of virtual hug, knowing that I was going through something with a colleague and just helping me unpack that. She's a huge example, a beautiful, beautiful example, Sasha, of steady, loving presence as well. Thank you. Miriam says, what a great way to start the day. Thank you so much. Oh, Miriam, I'm glad to hear it. I'd love to hear how your day goes as you hold that intent. Yeah, anybody who's listening, please feel free to circle back around and just say, here's what that intent meant for my day today, or here's how I wove it into my blog post, my coaching group, my massage work with a client. I love this topic, and I don't pretend to be like the be-all, end-all. Like I said, I'm very much learning about this. So please tell me your stories. This is something, it's like I want to be like somebody who gathers people who care about this topic. Again, to kind of inoculate us, to if we have a clear intent, then I think we can be steadfast. When somebody's trying to come into contact with us who has that sort of quick fix, let me just get your money, let me just like get you signed up for this program right now. Gosh, there's so much heart love going by. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your care. This inoculates us from that. So that's my commitment. And again, I don't think I have all the answers on this. I really want to hear your experiences. Please, please, if you feel comfortable sharing as you walk this path of your business with this intent of steady, loving presence, please tell me what you're learning and share the stories or ask your questions so that we can have sort of a collective body of knowledge to share this with, so that other people who are in that place of like wanting or needing to grow a business don't have to fall to those sort of almost, I want to use the word predatory, short-term, quick fix, let me just get dollars out of your wallet as fast as possible ways of doing business. That's not what our world needs more of. Our world needs more steady, loving presence. So tell me about your experiences, please. Thank you so much for joining. It's such an honor to have this conversation with you. I love y'all, and I wish you well. Have a wonderful day.